Okay, I've heard you guys want to stop the far right from taking over the country. I want that too. I think to do that, you need to win not just the next election, but the election after that. And what I want to do today is explain as clearly and simply as possible what you need to do that. The number one thing which you need to recognise is that living standards have been falling for most people in this country for nearly 20 years now. I spent a lot of time in places like this, and it is sometimes obvious that living standards have not always been falling for everybody in the room. You 100% need to be aware that living standards have been falling for 20 years now for most of the people in the country. It's not just the bottom 10%, it's not just the bottom 20%. Increasingly, even people in the top half struggle to have families, buy homes. It's been happening for 20 years. It happened under a Conservative government. It's continuing under a Labour government. People don't trust it. People don't trust Labour. People don't trust centrist politicians. People don't trust the media. People don't trust what they're being told. And the reason they don't trust it is because they keep being told things are about to get better, and things never get better. If you keep selling them more of the same, they're not going to buy it. You absolutely 100% need to have a very clear message, a very clear story that you understand living standards are falling, you understand why living standards are falling, and you understand how to stop living standards falling. It is as simple as that. Now, if I go out of this room today and I pull a man or woman off the street and I ask them, what's Labour's plan to stop living standards falling? What's Labour's story about falling living standards? And then I ask them the same question about the Conservatives or the Liberal Democrats or Reform. How many answers do you think I will get? I will get, in the vast majority of cases, exactly one answer. There is only one political force currently in this country and in Europe which has a clear, simple message on why living standards are falling. And yeah, it's a lie. But if there's nothing else on the table, then you're going to buy the lie. You know, the average man or woman on the street is not an economist, is not a political scientist, you know. They don't come to events like this and talk about Gramsci, right? They need people like us who are supposed to be the experts, to explain to them in clear, simple, welcoming, accessible language why living standards are falling. And there is only one political force currently in this country and in Europe and in the world that seems to be even attempting to do that. You need to have a clear and unified message. Ask yourself what your clear and unified message is. Look at the people around you. Is it the same? Is it the same? Listen, what is your story? There's a whole country out there, people that don't want to vote for Reform. They don't want to vote for Knight. They don't like him. They don't trust him, just like you. But they are scared that their kids won't be able to afford to have kids of their own. What's your story for those people? Do you have one? And what I'm going to do today now, quite simply, is pitch my story. Because you guys don't have one. And I've been working really hard out there for 5 to 6 years to get the public on board a message that is understandable to them and simple to them, that says your kids should be able to afford families and your kids should be able to afford homes. It can be done if you reduce inequality. And the public want it. The public want it. Listen, a large majority of Reform voters want a wealth tax. The number one issue for Labour to Reform switchers is a wealth tax. And sometimes what drives me mad in these spaces is it seems like the public want a wealth tax, often more than the left. Do you want to win? Do you want to win? So get together behind the story. And listen, maybe you've got your own story, and maybe you like your story more than mine. Listen, there's a reason I get more views than question time, all right? Sometimes you've got to back the horse that is winning. And if you're not going to, then you're going to lose. They have a unified message. And it doesn't mean that you put aside... Listen, I know there's people in this room and watching in the other rooms that work for tons of amazing organisations, that work on incredibly important things that are not explicitly about inequality. Keep doing the work that you are doing. It is important. It is incredibly important. But we do need to have one message that we put on the tin. You can't go out there with 25 different things when they're saying, we're going to kick the immigrants out and that's going to make you rich. You need to have a clear, unified message. And if it is not inequality, if it is not wealth taxes, what the hell is it? And look, there are going to be people that don't like that, and there are going to be people that accuse me of doing exactly what I say a lot of other people do, which is say, I'm only going to work on my issue. I'm not going to support anyone else's issue. Pick one. You have to pick one. It doesn't mean you abandon other things, but until you have a clear message that you send to the public, you will keep losing. It's as simple as that. And look, I'm not saying, as much as I've been accused of it, that wealth taxes are a magic wand that are going to fix things. They're not. They're not. The truth is the wealth taxes that are on the table, 2% above 10 million, they're not enough to stop inequality from increasing. It's true. And they're not going to be a magic wand, and they're not going to fix things quickly. But what they will do is they will give us the institutional power to start taxing the group of people in society who increasingly own everything. And when I go out there and I say tax the rich and people say it's difficult, what they are saying to me is, we don't care about not building the institutional capacity to tax the people who in 20 years will own absolutely everything. And if you want to know what that looks like desperate poverty. That looks like luxury skyscrapers surrounded by barbed wire while everyone else scrabbles for food outside. Listen, wealth taxes, they don't fix everything, but not having them will destroy everything. You need to... You need to be able to access resources. Otherwise, we will keep seeing this merry-go-round that we are seeing, where we vote red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, and everyone comes in and says, we've got no resources. And democracy becomes X factor. You need resources. All of the amazing things which you guys want to do, you need resources. You need money. We do not have the institutional capacity to tax the people with all the resources and all the money. That needs to be fixed. And listen, we are in this amazing moment now. I don't know, something must have happened, because suddenly all these politicians who've been ignoring me for 10 years are calling me up. Listen, we're going to have a moment here. Everybody knows we're going to have a new Prime Minister. It might be in the next 2 months. It will definitely be in the next 2 years, okay? That new Prime Minister, whoever he or she may be, is going to have to come in with some kind of story about how they are going to do things differently to the last 15 years. And they're going to have to come in with a policy behind that about how they're going to get the money to do the things that they want to do. And they're going to have some means and some way to sell that policy to the public. And whatever that policy is, even if it is wealth taxes, they will not be able to prevent the continuing fall in living standards that will happen in the next couple of years. And they will need to tell the public, listen, we know things are really bad and getting worse, but we, this new Prime Minister, this new government, is the first Prime Minister and government in the last 30, 40, 50 years in this country that is serious about doing the work to build the institutional capacity to fix a problem in 2 years, all right? And if I get a Prime Minister that looks me in the eye and says, listen, we're hiring our 4 or 5 economists, we're talking to Gabriel Zucman and his team in France, the best economists in the world designing wealth taxes, we're building the institutional capacity, then I will go out there on the internet and I will get every single political influencer in this country to say this guy's doing it. And how the hell else do you not lose the next election? Because we are going to get a Prime Minister that comes in the middle of a cost of living crisis that is about to get significantly worse. And there is no way to stop that in the short term. But the public is there. They want something new. Listen, they're not idiots. They understand the situation is broken, and they will get their head down and work if they believe that you are getting your head down and working, and that the Prime Minister is getting their head down and working, and that the government is building the capacity to fix these problems. Listen, people know that Nigel Farage is lying. We can all look at what's happening in America, and we can all see what's happening to living standards. They need a positive vision for the future. It needs to be clear. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be welcoming. It needs to be unified. And we're all going to go off and we're going to watch our different talks today. And we're all going to talk to people who in many ways are similar to us. When you go home, look outwards. It's about the people who are not here. What is happening to them? What do they want? Are we talking to them? Are we doing things for them? Listen, at the end of the day, this is a country full of people who are increasingly getting poorer and poorer, who are about to vote in a man who's going to cut taxes on billionaires and make them poorer. And if that happens, we will have let that happen. We are supposed to be the people who are protecting the public, who are making them richer, who are making sure that their kids do not live in poverty. If you believe that that is what you are doing, get behind a clear, unified, single message and tell the public, we will make your kids financially secure, and nobody else can do that. The far right cannot do that. So that's my message. And listen, if you think that's too difficult, we've done it before. This was the country that introduced the the progressive income tax. Didn't exist. We did it here in this country. And look at what we did. Look at what we achieved. Listen, my grandmother was born here in this city in the 1920s, in the richest city, in the richest country in the history of the world. And 3 of her siblings died of tuberculosis. That is what happens when you don't deal with your inequality. World surrounded by desperate poverty. And in the course of her lifetime, just one lifetime, we moved from that kind of country where ordinary, hardworking people see their kids die of poverty to the world that my dad grew up in, where he worked for the post office for 35 years, bought a house, had a pension, had a retirement, had 3 kids, financial security, good quality education, good quality healthcare, good quality housing. We did that in the course of one woman's lifetime with no historical precedent of it ever happening before. So don't tell me it's impossible. And that's the message. That's the message. If we do that, we can win. I really believe that. I wouldn't do the work that I did if I didn't think we could win. So listen, do your work today, but there's a lot more work ahead of us. Good luck. And I'm going to hand over